That's weird.
But that's different though. Like y'all were kids. We're talking about the adults in this situation that
Right.
are preying on the children. Like the water aerobics class was for the girls water. We had girls water aerobics class and we had guys water aerobics class. Nobody ever took the guys water aerobics class. But for the girls water aerobics class, they made sure that we had a female teacher.
Sure.
We had a female instructor. We
But
had, I think it was 3 male gym teachers and 1 female gym teacher.
man, I don't
It's
know.
crazy. Like, but how? Like, why do you get so comfortable that you're comfortable with this student to be like, "Hey, I'm feeling you."
Again, my adult mind can't figure out how that conversation even happens.
Beyond me, I don't know,
It it doesn't compute.
and it shouldn't because you're a normal functioning human being.
Yeah, this is true.
I mean, however you look at normal, you know what I mean. But what's normalcy these days? But yeah, it's so weird and it's disgusting. It's disgusting. Like you can't find an adult to fulfill your needs.
I think they can, but people are so embarrassed by these fictitious standards that society has begun to build. Right? Again, oh, he ain't got no bag. Why you dating him? What? What do you mean?
The freaking student, he don't even have his own room.
If they keeping secrets, they might. It just registered what you said. It just registered. How is it taken seriously and reciprocated? Because they're kids. They're kids. What's up, Zoe?
What's going on, fam?
You got it, bro. You got it. Good to
How you
see you.
guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Just trying to maintain summertime, Chicago,
Yeah.
working, kids, parenting.
Right?
But you know what? This subject is very nerve wracking because I have 2 young kids right now. That my kid's about to enter first grade, but I do think that like stepping into the classroom or school and going in there and vibe checking is very important. Like getting to
Absolutely.
know the community, your neighbors, and getting to know how they feel about certain people. Like even when with a handshake and getting eye contact and asking, like certain things, like making sure that your kid is also knowledgeable is going to be,
We walk
so
up like
important.
fucking kids.
Huh?
Walk up to them and be like, "Are you fucking kids?" Oh,
Well,
okay.
I had
Cool.
a situation. I used to work at a school. I was a clerk, and I was like known as Mr. E. And I do recall, I was very in tune with the kids because I was Mr. E. And I remember these 2 young girls. That one of them was in first grade, and then her sister was in pre-K. And one day they came in, and their energy was like, very low. And I was like, "What's going on?" They were Hispanic, and they're like, they said something there. It was completely alarming to me. And right away I executed to relay the information to the appropriate person, and they were kind of like, "That's not true. How do you know?" And I was like, "Look, off the bat, this is not what I'm supposedly trained for, but if I'm telling you this and this is going on and you negate that this is going on, guess who's
Mm-hmm.
going to look like a crazy person? And what's worse is that this is a very delicate situation because there's 2 young girls at risk, because there was a stepdad that was in the mix that was touching them
Mm-hmm.
inappropriately. And within a
Jeez.
flash, like, I noticed the difference,
Mm-hmm.
in the kid's spirit, and I was very, young at the time, but right away they pushed me into a meeting that I thought was very inappropriate as well, because the professional people were like very mechanical and like telling her like, "Hey, now we're gonna have to put enforcement in here and separate people," and it destroys families.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it literally destroys communities, and if people are not engaged appropriately in understanding what this does, because society has done this thing where like it's a playful thing if someone does this to someone that's supposedly either naive or very innocent, and they don't even know any better, because I think that these young kids are dressing like this and they have no idea what someone could come into play and be like, oh well, man, I'm gonna take advantage of this situation. And now all of a sudden it turns into a violent situation, because let's face it, overall it's a power move. But bringing it back, when I was going through that whole process, it changed me completely,
Mhm.
because I was like, how do people do that to people? You know what I'm saying? Like, or even having kids around people that are not right in the head, and then they do that stuff because of what have you, whatever reason it may be, it is something that we have never been able to control, because you need to have absolute supervision of kids,
Right.
like as they're
Kids
growing
go
up.
everybody's house.
Yeah, like I tell my kids, you are not allowed to
They
enter
don't go
nobody's
everywhere
house.
because I know people are sick.
And after that, getting help is not easy either, right? Because how do you help the young kid from that situation, and then how do you go after the person that is protected under certain systems? Because let's just face it, certain people that take advantage of other people are sometimes protected by institutions or titles or offices,
Mhm.
so it's a situation where I think it does happen more than we think. I remember in my high school there was a volleyball teacher, math teacher, that got involved with young girls, and he thought he was very friendly, and then boom, he touched one of them the wrong way, and then he got a lawsuit, and then he lost his profession, got sent to jail. And I don't even know if that was
I
something
I
that
mean, if you don't blur the lines, no, I mean the line can't be crossed.
yeah,
You can see directly where it is, and
it,
that's what brings me back to we are not these kids' friends.
no.
Stop. I mean, it's one thing to understand. It's one thing to, communicate. But I am not my child's friend. We won't be friends until they a good 30 years old.
And I think people in position, because like let's say you're in a classroom setting and there is peer pressure. I remember certain situations where certain teachers were like the girls' hormones were going nuts, and they had crushes on certain teachers, and they
Mhm.
would pass by the highs and they would catcall the teacher. And these Latina girls were ruthless. They're like, "Hi, Mister," blah 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 blah, and the teacher would be like, "Damn, these girls are just horny ass Latina chicks," like they were literally about to spank the dude's booty. And I was just like, damn, no respect around here.
I,
This
I,
was back in the day in my high school.
that's
You know,
weird because the retort should have been, "You better take your ass in a house."
no, I mean the teacher kind of thought that it was like, come on, girl, stop it. But low key, kind of liked it. It
Of
was like,
course. I mean,
you know what I'm saying? Like me and the
I mean,
homies were like,
flattery.
yo,
They say flattery will get you everywhere, but at the same time, it's like, yes, they're gonna like hormones are crazy, and you're gonna find people attractive. But there is no like if I would have did I would have spent had 3 days in ISS at my school. And I probably would have got taken out of that class because they would have thought I was gonna put the teacher in a weird position.
my
What?
God.
Pause.
Yeah, yeah. Hard pause.
Yo, man. I mean, I don't
Ugh.
even know how to like. There's been so many situations like I can recall in high school where like there were certain teachers that had like young teachers in a high
Yeah,
school setting, and it was like, yo, it was fair game almost for some of these people. They were like, yo, can you flirt with the teacher? Can you, get on that inner sanctum of getting ace? The teacher's pet, quote unquote. You
I'm glad
know.
you said that because a lot of the teachers that I've been seeing having these issues are younger teachers. They are,
that's
and
crazy.
it is. It just goes to show that they don't know how to control themselves.
They got Tinder. They got what's that? POF. What's the other stuff they be on?
Bumble. Uh,
What's that? I see that commercial all the time. Um,
I don't
there's
even know. I'm
like,
straight married.
or why you like right? Me too, but like, why you don't go out to a bar where people are your age that you can flirt with and be just fine? Well,
far,
maybe and come across like a Jeffrey Dahmer type, but still, that's the risk that we take.
Yeah.
farmersonly.com.
Yeah,
Uh,
have you guys ever seen the movie Porky's? Like back in the 80s, it was this movie
yes,
about like, and
yes,
that kind of played into the whole aspect that like high school was a sex camp. The teachers were getting down, the seniors were getting down. And I remember there was a teacher that said that back in the 60s and 70s, it was a different culture,
for sure.
like, so people would get down under the bleachers and it was a real thing,
Hmm.
but I don't even know how you interact with, your whole society after you
I
do
mean,
that, and you're known to be the dude that be maxing out the young. I don't even know, like that. I'm sure there was dudes like that, back in the day. That was just one of those things where even in Mexico, you know, you said something that was crazy. The Catholic Church was the biggest perpetrator. There was times where like the known father was the dude that was collecting all, and let me excuse myself, the panties of all the ladies that were like either widows or
Oh, my
divorced.
man was out there breaking backs, huh?
Yeah, and he was, the sweetheart dude, and it was very low key. The ladies would bring like a little something to eat to him, and here's my offering for you, and oh, why don't you meet me at a certain place, and bam,
In
mm,
hope stays
and
Satan,
and it's not only
working
in
on
and it was
blowing
not only just
Maxim's.
in certain spots. It was well known throughout the whole
I'm
country
with this podcast.
that who was the dude that was like taking care of the hands, quote unquote.
Well, that's
You
still
know,
not a good look.
it was not, but
And that's
it's that whole power situation. It's
yeah, and
that whole.
that's what I
Go
was
ahead.
about to say. It's not they. That's what I was about to say. A lot of what this looks like to me is that a lot of people are taking that they're using their position, sinners. They're using their position of power and perverting the actual definition of it, and
Mm-mm.
taking advantage of
Yeah, that's what's happening.
folks. It's
I mean,
just
even in my mind is already working. How many times have we seen the sexy nun situation or the sexy teacher situation in Halloween?
I ain't
Like,
forget nothing,
huh?
huh?
Like how like in our society how many times have you seen the hot nun, right, playing
No,
that
I get
game,
what you're saying. Yeah, I get what you're
or the hot teacher, and it's that whole scenery, and it plays. I think that's how they fall into it. Like they're in that situation and they're freaky too,
saying.
and like
No, I'm not completely disagreeing with you, Zoe. I'm not. What I'm saying with that situation, however, is
mm,
it's a costume
mm.
for a specific holiday for a specific event, right? And so if that's your narrative on the daily, I get it. I get it. But you might want to reach out because if that's your daily fits, and and
Oh
and
yeah,
it's
but
if it's with
but
somebody of a younger age, well then
then don't go
that's
into that
weird.
profession. Yeah, but it's like you said, certain predators have a certain way of filtering themselves into that circumference of the circle of trust per se, and they have a history because they've been abusers. Will be people that get abused will eventually turn into abusers. That's the theory, right?
It's
But
possible. It's
uh,
possible.
I really don't understand why anybody would want to put themselves in that position, because right off the bat, you lose your education, your reputation, not only in the community, but your family, right? I think
But
it's like,
I feel like that they be in love and it's worth the risk, which is weird and crazy. But
Hmm.
I think it's just,
Wow.
I think people are, like inclined to be
Huh.
attracted to younger people. And I think that's where society is going, because even Germany just passed a clause
No.
that says, like, yes, Germany just passed the clause. And we were talking about the recap show. They passed the law. Look it up right now. where like people are allowed to now engage in sexual behavior with younger minors.
Let me
Like
look this.
we're going back into, like you said, a Neanderthal thing. Where like in the old world, they're going back to that. Hey, if someone is consensual, then you could get down with the get down. That's basically what I got from it.
That's
Germany being Germany,
that's
you know.
disgusting.
Japan. I mean, Japan is also. Let's talk about the freaky nations. Like who is the freakiest nation? Me and Manny even talked about it. Is the U.S. the number one
No,
provider of those
no,
situations where
no,
our abusers, or
no,
Mexico, or Brazil,
no.
Japan?
I'm trying to figure out exactly which context you mean, right? Because if you're talking about from a perverted standpoint, then it's a very specific demographic in America,
Hmm.
and it has been for hundreds of years, for hundreds of years, and it's something that's been, yeah, passed down, and it's something that's been promoted, unfortunately, right?
Hmm.
So it depends on how you actually
Well, I
define.
mean, why would Germany take that position to pass those laws? There's obviously a community of lobbyists that are saying we want this. So I mean, I would hope that it is a very minute situation. But my whole thing is like, if it's a spectrum, a sexual spectrum, and now society has gone into this whole sexual awakening, and now the push is like, you know, it's okay to be this person, or it's like they're trying to excuse themselves, because even when they express themselves, you said it yourself, they come off as kind of like this is a natural thing that happened between people. It's not
Yeah,
even.
Yeah, but when you're an adult, you know when you want to have sex. A child just knows this feels different.
right.
But
And so
that's how this conversation plays out, because the school system, when they catch people doing this stuff, they automatically try to go on silent mode. Oh, this never happened.
I
so
would
I'm
But
think so.
let me this is just a quick Google search, and I haven't done any deep dives on it just yet, but I because this is I don't it says the age of consent in Germany is 14, as long as a person over the age of 21 does not exploit a 14 to 15-year-old person's lack of capacity for my kids are down here
Hmm.
for that self-determination, in which case a conviction of an individual over the age of 21 requires a complaint from the younger individual being over 21 and engaging in sexual, so on and so forth. So
Hmm.
it's not simply it's
but it's
it's
it's getting to that whole like passing the red line of you. We are not supposed to be engaged in this kind of behavior, right? Because
uh,
you just thoroughly, probably somebody in legalities wrote that statement and published it and said, hey, are we okay with this? Because it's going to be known throughout the world now that that place is a place where people are welcome to engage in that sort of behavior. It's now, hey,
I would say
welcome.
at 14, I was aware of sex, but I knew I didn't want to have it yet.
But now with Google, these kids are like lightning speed with it. Like it's not like how we were back in the day with Atari. These people are Googling stuff that, because they have phones and they have access to the internet. When we were growing up, that was not available. Maybe a nudie magazine that you bumped into, but that was
like
it. You
you was
know,
licking into your parents' beds, finding them VHS tapes.
even that was crazy, because I remember like popping that thing was like your heart was about to explode. Like, yo, we're not supposed to be looking at this, guys. Pop that shit in. No, we gotta look at that. Whatever. Blah blah. And look at, and
That is
then your
crazy.
whole life is changed, because pornography is a very powerful thing.
The
And
art tapes, absolutely.
you know what I'm saying? Like we all were, dog, yo, what do you watch? What do you guys watch? Yo, it got even to the point where like back in the
No
day,
late.
Playboy was blurred, right? Remember Playboy was like blurry lines, and you would
Yeah,
pop in
yeah.
blurry Playboy TV, and you would see the moaning, and you would hear the little nipple situation going down, slurping going down, and you're like, what the hell?
Mm,
That was
Somebody
back in
get
the
me
day.
it in.
jeez.
But what
But
I just
yeah.
pulled up, this is Uh, the website's up here. Um, but these are the countries that have an age of consent. 14 to 15 is this lighter shade of blue. 16 to 17 is this darker shade, and 18 is the darkest, right? So it might be a little hard to see or read. I don't want to
Now I
accept
see
cookies
it.
on,
We see that. And that's actually
right?
a really good way of showing where people are engaged in certain sexual behaviors or acceptance, or sexual freedom. I don't even know how to explain this. But I think, I don't know, people are just too I don't even know how much they have time to do this stuff. To
Wait a
be
minute.
to be an old ass person and be engaged with a young minor. You know what
Crazy.
I'm saying? That's
Yeah,
like to
again,
me.
it's wild.
That's like I don't even know how you would get that thought process or even that behavior, and then around people. How do you know what I mean? Like it's a lot of. I think I don't even know how that works, but I think it happens more than we think. People are very, in need, and if you got money, you got power. There's people in poverty. There's things that happen in society that are like, yo, I need to make this move. Even
Yeah.
in colleges, how many times? Okay, let's just say the power
But let's
brokerage.
think about it though. We're not talking about you saying like people with money and stuff, but we talking
It,
about teachers here. Teachers
teachers, the
are
same thing though.
severely underpaid. There's no
Oh,
way they paying nobody bills.
Oh, they
You think?
just buying
oh,
them Pokemon cards.
Oh God, it's
I don't
Pokemon.
know. I mean, maybe it's not the money situation, but in Europe, I mean, in America, there's things that happen because of the power situation. How? Okay, let's just say flip it on the other side. How do these young kids get engaged with the adults that way? How do they open the door?
Well, that's
That's
it. I don't think.
our question too. So
Yeah,
I,
like I don't know how these scenarios play
Play
out
out.
at all. Right.
like,
I
do you
can.
walk up, like you think I'm pretty?
Right.
I
Right.
think
It's
Oh my gosh, I have a daughter now, and I'm like, my daughter's not going out nowhere. My life has changed now because of the fact that I know that certain situations it happens in a second of like, oh, they touch your face, and now it's like, oh, if you welcome that. As a matter of fact, recently this happened to somebody in a Latin country, and they were at a grocery store, and then all of a sudden this old man met up with this teenager that
Yeah.
was with my family people, and the old man decided to touch the young girl's face like, you're so pretty, and kind of did the whole slithering down her face down to her neck.
You
And
should
my
have
family
stopped.
person was like, yo, 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 what is going on, sir?
Yeah.
What the hell are you doing? And the guy was just like, oh, I know this person. And my mom, was like, yo, this is crazy. What is going on? And the young person was like, oh, this person does, buys me chips and buys me Coca-Cola.
Oh, this
And,
person's grooming me.
and I think that's basically how it goes down. It's the whole, I got ice cream, I got candy, I got whatever. It's a trap, and
Lord, they trying to get our kids with Takis.
yeah, like honestly, there is a known reference in a certain towns in Mexico where like, I'll be back, I'm gonna go make sure that the young girls have their chips and Coca-Cola, because it's like, yo, people are in need, and you pull up,
But
and
Zoe, that's
boom.
not what we're talking about, though, right? You're talking about people taking care of the neighborhood, and like Maya put over there, a teacher trying to encourage a student can absolutely go wrong, right? And so I understand from the aspect of trying to take care of the community and take care of the neighborhood,
Mm.
but that's not who we're talking about. Predators, bro. We're talking about actual predators.
But I think that's that same mindset where they know how to lure kids. They
Mm,
know how to
Okay,
potentially, like,
meet you there.
here's the little carrot. Come
Sure.
come my way.
Yeah.
Hey, hey, let's say I'm a coach, a volleyball coach. Hey, why don't you come to practice after practice? And there's a little practice after practice, and you start
Okay.
grooming that person and getting comfortable. Gymnastics coach. I mean, the gymnastics coach recently, they got in trouble
Oh
with
yeah.
him doing that whole dirt with all those young girls.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and to me, when I even read some of that stuff, I was just like, yo, this is crazy. This is not believable. But I think, I don't know, if you believe in demons, I think people are empty vessels, and sometimes that's how it goes down, maybe in a second. And then because they even say that, oh, I blanked out, I don't even know what I was doing.
Yeah, that's
You know, then how else
mm.
can you explain how these interactions happen? Because they fool each other into these lies of falling in love, or oh, we have a moment here, or we have a vibe, and we have a chemistry. And you, even themselves, they fool themselves into the lie, because the chemistry of, let's say that they do go through that whole process and the addiction takes place. So now this is who they become. They're attracted to young people, and they go after young people,
Nasty.
But you
you
got to
know.
practice. That's not something that just happens. That's
Mhm.
something that you're geared towards already. That's something that you're geared towards already. That's what pedos are.
But I think that's what some of these teachers are, though, you know, low key.
Yeah, I can agree with you on that. I can absolutely agree with you on that.
Because how else has these school systems have been so liberal as to allow certain kids to dress certain ways, and they just kind of allow it in this woke system where, like, I go into these systems of schools in certain areas, and they have shorts that are a little too short, you know, crop tops or whatever. And I think teachers, if like you said, if they're not having any kind of engagement with adults, and they have a little engagement with a young individual, and they open the door to that, I think that's how they sometimes they fall in. Either they fall in innocently, you know, or they fall into it like they kind of like doing this stuff. You know, I think they play that game. Because how many did you know any teachers growing up where they played that little line a little too comfortably,
I
or they
wasn't.
would?
I didn't pay attention, so I don't really know. I don't really know.
I do recall, like, my Spanish teacher. You know, she was an excellent, you know, person to did these sort of things. She would show with like these dresses, and her cleavage was crazy. You know, she was jiggling all over the place. And as a young teacher,
Jiggle.
you wanted to sit in the front, and the teacher knew, like, oh, I dropped my, what's going on here, and
Yeah,
people were
I was
like,
saying
yo.
the same thing, Maya. I think that people are severely lonely and they'll do anything for any type of attention. And it's sad.
It's
It's
a
sick.
lonely world. Yeah, I
We
think
It's
got we have all this ways to communicate, and people are still lonely.
what
So
Emily. I got an early morning with hitting this yard, and I got a pretty big yard. I got to get after.
yeah,
great
and I
conversation, guys. Thanks for allowing
Yeah.
me to be partake.
Hey, Zoe. Before you dip set, man.
Yes, sir.
I know the recap show is back, but I haven't heard y'all promoting it, and so let us know what y'all doing and when y'all doing it.
So right now we're doing it on Wednesdays, and right now
I came
Manny's
on there one day. It was a good. I didn't understand nothing, but I was there.
on vacation. Honestly, me and Manny, like, because you know how we talk, and I was like, my conversation and the way that my mind works, he's like, yo, I'll be cracking up with you, so we need to put this on film. Because in likewise with Manny comes up with certain subjects